In this video we cover CORS, cross-origin resource sharing. If you have ever built a front-end that calls a separate backend API, you have almost certainly hit a CORS error in the browser console. We are going to understand exactly why that happens and how FastAPI's CORSMiddleware fixes it in just a few lines of configuration. Here is the pain. You finish your FastAPI endpoint, you open your React app, you call fetch and nothing works. The browser console shows a CORS error. The frustrating part is that the request often looks fine in Postman, because Postman is not a browser and does not enforce this rule. The block happens entirely on the browser side, which means adding a try except in Python will not help you at all. Think of the browser as a very strict nightclub bouncer. Your JavaScript asks the bouncer to fetch data from a different origin. The bouncer first sends a quick question to the server, called a preflight request, asking whether this origin is allowed. If the server does not reply with the right approval header, the bouncer refuses to hand the response to your code, even if the server sent data. CORSMiddleware is what teaches your server to answer that question correctly. FastAPI's CORSMiddleware is a layer that wraps your entire application. For every incoming request, it inspects the origin header that the browser sends, and if that origin is on your approved list, it attaches the correct access control headers to the response. You configure it once with 4 main options: which origins, which methods, which headers, and whether credentials like cookies are allowed. At the top we import FastAPI and CORSMiddleware from fastapi.middleware.cors. We create the app as usual. Then we build a list called allowed_origins containing the 2 origins we trust, our local React dev server and the production domain. We call app.add_middleware, passing CORSMiddleware as the first argument. Allow_origins receives that list. Allow_credentials equals true permits, cookies and authorization headers. Allow_methods lists the HTTP verbs we want to support, and allow_headers names the specific request headers the browser is allowed to send. Finally, the route itself is completely ordinary. The middleware does all the CORS work transparently, before and after the handler runs. For any cross-origin request that uses a non-simple method or custom headers, the browser first sends a preflight and options request asking for permission. The middleware intercepts that preflight, verifies the origin is in your list, and returns a response with the appropriate access control headers. The browser then sends the real request. One important constraint: if you set allow_credentials to true, you cannot use a wildcard asterisk for allow_origins. You must name each origin explicitly, because browsers enforce this rule for security. Use CORSMiddleware anytime a browser-based client, React, Vue, plain JavaScript, needs to call your API from a different origin. Without it, those requests simply will not work. On the other hand, if your API is only consumed by other servers or mobile apps, CORS does not apply, and you can skip it entirely. And when you do add it, resist the temptation to set everything to wildcard in production. That opens your API to requests from any website on the internet, which is a real security concern. To wrap up, CORS is a browser security rule, not a server bug, which is why Postman works, but your browser does not. FastAPI's CORSMiddleware solves this by intercepting every request and adding the headers the browser requires. Configure your allowed origins explicitly, especially in production, and remember that wildcard origins and credentials cannot be combined. If no browser ever calls your API directly, you can skip CORS entirely.